In this video, we are going to see the summary and analysis of Edmund Spenser's Prothalamion. Now, let us see the biography of Spenser. Spenser was an English poet. He was born in 1552 and died in 1599 in London, in England. The name of his wife is Elizabeth Boyle. He took his MA degree from Cambridge University. In 1580, he went to Ireland as secretary to the Lord Deputy. He brought out a lot of poetic works. He was called the Prince of Poets, the Poet's Poet, and the sunrise of English poetry. Some of his well-known poetic works are The Shepherd's Calendar, written in 1579, Fairy Queen, written in 1592-96, Amrati, Love Sonnets, written in 1592, Epithalamion, Wedding Song, written in 1592, and Prothalamion, a spousal ode, written in 1596. Now let us see a brief note on Prothalamion. It is a wedding song. It consists of 10 stanzas with 18 lines each, and totally it has 180 lines. It is a spousal verse. In the word Prothalamion, the first part pro means before, and the last part thalamion means nuptials or wedding. Totally, the word Prothalamion means the song sung before the nuptials. In 1596, Spenser composed this poem in honor of the double marriage of two honorable and virtuous ladies, the Lady Elizabeth and the Lady Catherine Somerset, to the two worthy gentlemen Henry Guilford and William Peter respectively. Now let us see the detailed summary of the poem Prothalamion. Now stanza 1. It was a calm day. The breezy west wind was blowing softly with sweet odors. Odors means smells. It decreased the sun's heat. Spenser was walking along the banks of the Thames to get some relief from his disappointment in securing a high post and rewards at the Queen's Court. The river was running with crystal clear water. The river banks and the surrounding meadows were full of multicolored flowers shining brightly like gems. These smiling flowers were fit to adorn the brides and bridegrooms on their wedding day, which was not far away. The poet asked the river Thames to run softly till he ended his sweet song. Now stanza 2. The poet saw a group of nymphs in a nearby meadow. Their locks of hair were greenish, loose and charming. They looked beautiful like brides. With delicate hands, they picked flowers and filled their baskets with pale blue violets, little daisies, pure lilies, true primroses, and red roses. They collected these fragrant flowers to decorate the bridegroom's bouquets on the forthcoming wedding day. The wedding day was not far off. The poet requests the Thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now stanza 3. The poet saw two snow-white swans swimming down the Lee, a tributary of the Thames. They were purer and whiter than the snow on the peak of Pindus. They were whiter than Jupiter and Leda when Jupiter took the shape of a swan to entice fair Leda. The waters of the river seemed dirty in comparison with the pure whiteness of the two swans. So the river felt shy and asked its waves not to wet and pollute the immaculate swans. These two swans shone not like ordinary man-made light, but like heaven's light. The bridal day of these swans was not far off. The poet requests the Thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now stanza 4. The nymphs, who had by this time filled their baskets with flowers, ran to the bank of the river to have a look at the white swans as they came floating down the crystal clear Lee. When they saw the swans, they were amazed and they stood speechless with surprise. They had never before seen such beautiful birds. It looked as though the birds were not of earthly origin but were born in heaven. They appeared to be the pair of swans which drew the chariot of Venus through the sky. The swans seemed to be angels themselves or produced by angels. But in reality, the swans were of earthly origin. They were produced by the warmth of the summer season and the freshness of the spring season. The swans seemed as fresh as daytime. Their bridal day was not far off. The poet requests the thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now, stanza 5. The nymphs showered their fragrant flowers upon the two swans. The multicolored flowers covered the surface of the stream. The river looked like the mythological river Peneus, which flowed through the valley of Thessaly. The river's surface looked like the flower's twin floor of a bridal chamber. Two of the nymphs garlanded the swans with fine wreaths of flowers. One nymph sang a special bridal song. The poet requests the thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now, stanza 6. It was a song of benediction. The nymph addressed the swans as the ornament of the world and the glory of heaven. It wished them a happy journey to the bowers of their bridegrooms, joy and satisfaction in their marital life. It invoked the blessings of Venus, the goddess of beauty, and Cupid, the god of love, to protect them from all evils. The nymphs blessed them with peace, prosperity, and worthy offspring. These blessings will increase the joy of the swans on their bridal day, which is not far off. The poet requests the thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now, stanza 7. The nymph ended her song of benediction. All the other nymphs now joined her and repeated the refrain of the song of benediction. The nymph called Echo also repeated the refrain that the bridal day was not far off. In this festive atmosphere, the swans passed along the river Lee. Even Lee wanted to praise the swans, but the river could not speak. However, it demonstrated its affection for the swans by running slowly. All the birds which lived on the river now gathered about the swans. However, the beauty of the swans excelled that of all the other birds, just as the beauty of Cynthia, the goddess of moon. So, the other birds arranged themselves in a row and attended on the swans. Thus they served the swans at the time of their wedding day, which was not far off. The poet requests the thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now, stanza 8. The procession of the swans now reached London. The poet now reminisces about his early life in London. He affectionately calls London his nurse. Though he was born in London, he was descended from a family settled in some other place. He was descended from the Spensers of Althorp in Northamptonshire. His family was an ancient one. Once upon a time, the brick towers situated on the banks of the Thames housed the Knight Templar, but the times have degenerated and now these buildings house students of law. Next to the tower of the law students, once upon a time there was the mansion of the Earl of Leicester. He patronized many poets, including Spenser. After Leicester's death, his mansion was occupied by the Earl of Essex. Spenser bitterly complains that there is nobody to patronize him now and that he is friendless. He checks himself, however, saying that marriage is not the right occasion for airing one's grievances. The poet requests the Thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now, stanza 9. The mansion of the Earl of Leicester is now occupied by the Earl of Essex. With his military exploits, the Earl of Essex was able to promote England's glory. He conquered the Spanish fleet in Cadiz, and this led to the spread of his dreadful name in all Spain. He actively tried to promote Queen Elizabeth's fame throughout the world. Some other illustrious poet may record the brave deeds of Earl of Essex for the edification of posterity. The poet requests the Thames to run softly till he ends his song. Now stanza 10. Lord Essex emerged from his tower like the bright evening star Hesper. He came to the bank of Thames with a group of courtiers. Among them were two handsome knights, Guilford and William Peter. With their talents and accomplishments, they were fit to marry the best princesses. They were majestic like the twin sons of Leda and Jupiter, Castor and Pollux, the constellation of Gemini. The two lords walked to the river's side. Suddenly, the two swans turned into the most beautiful ladies and joined with the two lords as their brides. Now the two swans have been changed into these beautiful ladies. Spenser says that the wedding of these lords and ladies is going to take place soon. He asks the Thames to run softly till he ends his song. With these words, Spenser happily ended his poem. Now let us see the critical analysis of the poem Prothalamion. Spenser wrote the Prothalamion in honor of the double marriage of Lady Elizabeth and Lady Catherine Somerset to the two worthy gentlemen Henry Guilford and William Peter in 1596. In this poem, we can see the intrusion of poet's personal elements. Though Spenser was commissioned to write this poem by the father of the two ladies, he managed to bring certain personal touches into the poem. These digressions about the privation and sufferings of his private life make the poem all the more interesting. The very opening stanza contains a reference to the humiliation and the disappointment that the author experienced in the courts of princes. Moreover, the poet complains how much he has been personally affected by corrupt courts. The second autobiographical reference is to the magnanimity and generosity of his patron, the Earl of Leicester. Leicester is presented as a model patron. Now that Leicester is dead and gone, the poet is friendless. Spenser's present patron, the Earl of Essex, is also warmly praised in this poem. What makes the poem intensely emotional is the pervasive feeling that the good things of life do not last and that there is general degeneration in England. The chivalrous Knight Templar originally occupied the towers on the banks of the Thames. But now those buildings are occupied by mercenary students of law. The Thames is carrying on its aged back only decay and destruction. These sad reflections serve to moderate the festive atmosphere of the bridal day. In this poem, Spenser gives a series of pictures and proves himself to be a pictorial artist. He represents a pageant of the bridal procession through series of captivating visual strips. The journey of the swans on the sparkling Thames is a feast to the eyes of the beholders as it appears like a compact video show. The poem opens with a colorful description of the silver streaming Thames whose banks shine with flowers of all shapes and hues. It passes on to a depiction of charming nymphs with their greenish hair gathering flowers for garlands for the brides. They are the bridesmaids. The poem is set against a pastoral background. In this poem, there is a picture of the nymphs plucking flowers. This is followed by the picture of the two swans gliding down the river Lee. Next, the nymphs are seen showering not only flowers but also blessings on the swans. Finally, there is the picture of the swans being transformed into two lovely ladies and they being accepted by two gentle knights of lovely face and feature. Like a cinematographer projecting a series of frames and telling a connected story, Spenser unfolds a story by presenting a series of pictures. In this poem, Spenser used a lot of mythological associations. He is noted for his profuse use of mythological images. In the Prothalamion also there is a large number of references of mythological stories. Even ordinary natural phenomena are mythicized by Spenser. Thus, in the opening stanza of the poem, he calls the wind as Zephyrus and the sun as Titan. Such mythological names lend an additional dimension to the poem. Also, Spenser uses mythological allusions for the purpose of emphasizing the greatness of human characters. Thus, to emphasize that the two swans have something heavenly about them, the poet says that they are much whiter than Jove, who took the shape of a white swan to secretly copulate with Leda. Then he emphasizes the greatness of the two knights who marry the two ladies by associating them with the twin sons of Jove, Castor and Pollux, called the Gemini. The swan image is aptly used to describe the beauty and grace of the two brides. The metrical form of Prothalamion is appreciated much by critics. It is an English adaptation of the irregular stanza of the Italian canzone. The song consists of 10 uniform stanzas of 18 lines each, with interlacing of long and short lines. There are variations in stresses and syllables to add to the melody and smooth flow of the song. There is a regular rhyme scheme. Each stanza produces a rhythmical harmony and resonance. In this poem, the refrain, "Sweet Thames run softly till I end my song," is admired by many critics. This refrain at the end of every stanza gives a slow movement of verse and adds to its grace. Spenser associates the Thames with time. Spenser is very much aware that human beauty and dignity cannot withstand the attack of time. The refrain can be taken to mean that the poet requests the time to be soft and spare the beauty and dignity of the brides and bridegrooms. The revealing autobiographical allusions, the rich mythological references, the beautiful metrical pattern, the haunting melody of the refrain, all these elements have made the Prothalamion quite a popular poem. In this video, we have seen the summary and analysis of the poem Prothalamion in a detailed manner. Hope you would have understood them very clearly. Thank you for listening.